Oh my gosh, Sarah, are we twins today?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I feel we can't have a podcast without having our own little merch t-shirt with it. So I was just like, the two of us should definitely get ourselves a Team Tail t-shirt. And the best part of it all is on the back, it has a QR code to our website, which I absolutely love. Yes, Sarah's going to show it because I cannot turn in this thing. There you
Yes,
go.
and my mom even loved it so much that she ordered herself a shirt, but with the logo in the top corner instead of in the center. She wanted it on her shoulder. I love the little gray, black, and white dots on yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But Russ also got one, right?
Yes, it's gray like yours, but no pretty dots.
I mean,
And now Jessica keeps saying, Mommy, you need to get me a dragon shirt. So now I have to order her one.
brilliant. Brilliant. And the kids at her school can start listening to our podcast.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, writers in the making. Well, it has been raining for the past week here. And so today it started getting warmer again. It's too hot for tea today. So I made myself a little cola tonic and Sprite. I don't know if you know it.
It sounds yummy.
It is. So I don't drink. And so every time that we went out to a restaurant as a family, everybody always gets a wine in this fancy glass or something like that. And then I'm like, I will have water or a Coke or something until I discovered cola tonic and Sprite. So basically cola tonic is let's say 1/8 of cordial cola tonic, and then the rest is added with Sprite. So I'm having that today.
I'm just doing apple cider.
Hey ho, let's go. Hello everyone and welcome to Tea and Tales. I'm Madeline now.
And I'm Sarah Sampson. We want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in today and to all of our videos. And also everyone following us on social media. We especially want to thank Nikita from Blushing Books and Sophie Sinclair. So today's episode is, if writing was a board game, what board game would it be?
I love board games. And it makes me so sad because all of my friends don't. I wanted to create a Friday board game tradition, if you want to put it like that. And so it started off last year, and so we did Ticket to Ride, and we did our one
Settlers of Catan,
where it's the circle, and then it has that you collect wood and sheep and stuff like that. But then people are no, I just want to sit and watch a movie. So I decided that I'm gonna do one game that I recently discovered. I know it's an American game, and I've seen it when I was in America, and I don't know about there, but here they love to take games and then put it into cards. So the game is a lot shorter, and no families will be breaking up and no divorces will be happening like Monopoly. So I chose Life. I've never played the board game before, but then I saw this and I was like, okay, I mean, this is a short version of the board game, which I think it should be fine. I'm assuming the rules of the game are still the same as whether you would play the board game, but you have your 4, I want to say, categories. So you have the yellow, which is adventure, then you have the pink, which is family. Then you have your blue, which is your career. And then you have your green, which is your wealth. I'm assuming it's the same in the game. Probably it's just on the board instead of cards. And so then for each of these, for the people who have not played this game before, you will get different types of cards, and they will have different types of numbers at the top. And so depending on what card you play, then you will have a number 90 or 10 or something like that. And for example, buying a house would earn you much more points than getting a car. So then you basically, it's a story that you tell, which is quite fun. I actually did this with my sister's kids, and they just loved it so much because their imagination just went way haywire. And I was just okay, cool. Glad you're enjoying yourself. And so basically the essence of the game is that you start out with a certain amount of cards, and you can pick any card. So you can pick 5 wealth cards, or you can pick 2 adventure and 1 wealth and 1 family and 1 career. And then you have them in your hands, and then your turn starts, and then you have to play a card. It can be any card, but some of these cards require another card to be able to play it. So for example, if you want to have a career card that is a career, you first have to have a card that gives you a degree to be able to have your career. And so then you have to play all these things to be able to tell your story. So that was quite fun to play with my sister's kids, because they were like, oh my gosh, I am an astronaut right now, and I got myself a baby monkey. Oh, and this monkey had babies. And I'm like, monkeys can't have giraffe babies. What are you talking about right now? It's fine. Use your imagination. Go crazy. Go crazy. So I thought, what better way to, put the writer's life in the game life?
I have to say already, from describing the way you played the card game, it's a lot more detailed than the board game version. Because the board game version, it has the same things, but you go around and like live the life as you go. So you have to go through college before you can go through the rest of the board and pick your vocation as you go through. There's no monkeys, there's no giraffes. That's really, really cool that the card game has expanded the whole idea.
Yes, and there's like, for example, for adventure, it could be like flying a hot air balloon, right? The tallest roller coaster in the world. You get like home improvements, so you can build like a indoor multi-stereo screen cinema. I decided that the writer's board game is also going to have like 4 categories basically. So I decided that the first category is going to be yellow, because we want to ease into the board game, and I feel yellow is a very like fun, loving, bright color. It doesn't make me nervous type of vibes. And then I feel like it's okay being a writer, like this is fine. This is your pack for first draft, your yellow. Okay, so for 10 points, write down ideas. So you can have like 4 or 5 cards that is write down ideas. Okay, because I think we have too many ideas. Like, they never stop coming, which is fabulous. But because you have so many ideas, they don't count as much.
Some ideas are literally based off of a dream you had that never comes to fruition because there really was no basis behind it.
Yes, or some ideas can be like a reel that you saw on Instagram and you're like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. That should be a book. And you're like, about what exactly? Like 5 seconds. That's a very long book. Our next points would be 20 points. And for 20 points, you get character traits. So those are fun ones to have. And I feel like your character traits can be specific ones. So it can be like, he is spontaneous, he's mean, or he is adventurous, or something like that. Then for 30 points, you get create a plot line. Because I feel that is a bit more like effort you need to put into, your story idea and the flow of the character traits that you decided to have and the writing ideas that you've had. And then for 40 points, finish your first draft.
Nice.
Right. Okay. So that is your first deck of cards that you're basically playing. Are you ready for the second one?
Absolutely.
Your second deck of cards, I decided, is going to be green. Because, green is a little bit heavier than yellow, but it's also still not scary. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. I will survive. The second deck of cards, I call the self-editing deck of cards. Okay. So for 10 points, we have line edits, because there are so many line edits that we go through, whether it is filler words or whether it is the sentence construction that you have to change, or making a sentence less passive and more active and things like that. So 10 points because you can have multiple cards of those to be able to fix your novel and make it stronger. Okay, you want to guess what 20 points is? I'm going to give you 3 options, and then you give me what you think the 20 points are. Okay. Plot holes, character arc, pacing.
Plot holes.
Ooh, so close. So close. But that one is 30 points.
Okay, what is it? Pacing, okay.
Pacing. Yeah, for 20 points. Because I feel pacing is... You basically just have to see whether your dialogue isn't too long or too, I want to say, redundant, and whether you don't have too much info dump or too much backstory. So for 20 points, I think you can take a big amount of chunks out to make your pacing of your novel flow the way you want it to flow. 30 points would then be plot holes, because those can sometimes be a doozy, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I've had plot holes where I had to like take out 2 chapters and rewrite 4.
I've had to kill whole story arcs, like minor story arcs, because of plot holes that they create.
Yep, not fun. Okay. And so then for 40 points, we do character arc, because I think plotline is important, pacing is important, and plot holes to fill it up is important. But I think, stories are about people, and people need to have growth throughout your novel. And so I give it 40 points, because I'm like, you need to be able to begin them at some point and let them grow.
Because it's the people that we're really following. And I like to say, make sure your character arcs are more like a nice mountain hike, not a stock market graph.
Yes. Though now I feel like I want to write a stock market graph just to confuse people.
Go for it. Try.
Go for it.
Try anything you want.
Okay, so then my next deck is going to be pink, because I feel we need all the love that we can get from this deck, because this deck is basically about people, and it's about networking, and it's about sharing and caring. So I am going to give you 4, and then you think what order they are in: 10, 20, 30, or 40 points.
You always do this to me. Okay, let's try. Let's see how badly I failed today.
So we have networking, beta readers, writing groups, alpha readers. For 10 points, Sarah.
So of those, I would say networking would be 10 points, because you can network a lot, but that doesn't mean that all those people you network with come into your groups.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, I actually like that one. Okay. I had alpha readers as 10 points, but now I'm liking your networking as 10 points. That is a smart...
Well, yeah, I would say alpha readers, you wouldn't want a lot of alpha readers.
Okay. So, let's do networking for 10 points. I like that. Let's put it in there. Okay, 20 points.
Then the next group, if you're kind of shrinking down to who you listen to for different things, I would put your writer groups next, because you can have a writer group with lots of people in it and you chat with, but that's how you find the specific people that you then make into beta readers. And when you really love a beta reader, you make them an alpha reader who is going to help you to really get down and gritty in the ideas before it's anything polished. That's the way I would do it.
Interesting. So I had writer groups at 20 points. I did have them at 20 points, but I had beta readers at 40 points, because the reason I had beta readers at 40 points is because I, as a beta reader, am very detailed at when I'm beta reading someone's novel. I would say I do like structural stuff, to be like, no, but you literally just said that she was in the bus and now all of a sudden she's on a plane. Like, what's up with that? Or I'd be like, no, you have to change the sentence construction here, or this is more passive than active. So for me, it takes a lot of my time, which is why I give it the biggest points, because I also feel it is the most, it sounds weird, but it's the most important feedback for me, because after I have my beta readers and I do my final edits, then I will send it out to agents. So they're almost like my last, I want to say, they're my last resource before I go over the bridge to the other side.
I could see beta readers as being 40 points, because they do end up being, it's a larger group of people than you want in your alpha readers, because alpha readers is like 2 or 3 of your best people to brainstorm with. Like beta readers, I have 3 rounds of beta readers that I usually go through before I even send a manuscript out on submission. That's a big group of people getting information back from.
Exactly.
And it takes a lot of time to go through that.
Exactly. Okay, so for our 4th and final deck of cards is the blue one, because I see it as, positivity, because we have done all this work. We have done our first draft, we have done our editing, we have sent it to beta readers, we have done some networking, and we are at the final point where, okay, Sarah's going to play a game again. So these are the 4 options we have. Sarah just loves this game so much. Okay, so writing blurbs, writing synopsis, publish, deciding whether you're going to do traditional publishing or self-publishing, and then write something new.
I would say 10 points is deciding to self-publish or traditional publish.
Interesting. Okay.
It's either the 10 or the 40, because you have to make that decision to know what you're doing with everything else. But it's also a very broad decision.
I put it at 40 points because once you decide to do that, there are so many little spider webs that is attached to it. Because if you decide to do traditional publish, then you have to start doing agent research. Then you have to start doing all these other type of research attached to that decision that you make. When you do self-publishing, you have to decide, okay, which websites are you going to be using to do your formatting? Which websites are you going to be using to publish? So that is why I put it at 40 points.
I think we're kind of on the same page with that when I was just like, do you put it at 10 as it's the basis and everything builds off that, or at 40 as this is like the biggest decision for where you're going to now take your book?
Okay, so you have synopsis, blurb, and write something new left.
Blurb for 10 points.
Interesting. I put it at 30 points because that is the hardest thing for me to write. I have the hardest time writing a blurb, and it takes up so much of my time.
You know, I'm saying I should probably just flip what I think the numbers are, because I put it at 10 points because it's like, it's the first thing I want to do before I write anything else is write that blurb, make sure that my story has the main 4 points that I need, worry about the rest of it. After if that blurb doesn't work, then I'm going back to my last deck and going back to the edits.
Okay, so having that said, synopsis and writing something new, between 10 and 20 points.
Goodness gracious, I'm going to guess wrong. You know I am. I always do. Okay, the one that I wouldn't guess is probably the one I should guess for 10 points. This is like a psychological thriller.
Okay, go back to the first deck that I did, where I said for 10 points, what did I say is 10 points because you have so many of them?
Ideas, writing something new.
Okay, so connect that with the 2 that's left.
No, I was sitting here going, I bet it's writing something new. And then I was thinking, no, it can't be. This is why I don't go on game shows.
The problem is I would literally start writing something new, but then a different idea come and I start writing that, and then a different idea and I continue with that. And I'm like, you know what? You need to focus on this one thing. Like, calm down. And then synopsis for 20 points. I don't have such a hard time doing a synopsis because a synopsis, I feel, is you go through your entire novel and you basically, each chapter that you write, you do a little synopsis of it, and then of that synopsis of each chapter you pick like a line that you want to use, and that's kind of how I do a synopsis. But yes, so this was the game of Writer Life. Would you play it or would you not, Sarah?
I think I play it every day of my life.
We would actually love to hear what our listeners think about our point system.
Everybody's thought process is different,
right?
So are you ready for mine?
Yes, let's do this.
I'm going to share my screen on this one.
Okay.
Because I don't actually have this game. I got screenshots of the mousetrap game I grew up with. So when you first look at this, what do you think now?
I think it looks like some sort of engineer contraption. It has like all these different types of, I almost want to say gadgets. So there's like a, what is in there? It's like a stick with like a point at the top. It almost looks like, I don't know if you've seen those games on videos where they would start with dominoes and then they would click the domino and then it would fall and then it would like hit a stick and then the stick would jump up and then it would swing and then it would cut down a balloon and then the balloon would burst. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
You're right. The name of a contraption that does that, sets off this and this sets off that. It's called a Rube Goldberg machine.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is a game where you build a Rube Goldman machine.
Oh, so you build your own one. So you get all the gadgets and then you kind of have to figure it out on your own, or do they give you actually like steps to follow?
There's steps to follow, and so you know how to put it together. And as you go around the game board, when you hit certain spaces, you can put a piece into the machine to build the machine as you play the game.
Okay.
Right. So the reason why I thought about this is because a long time ago, I came across a meme that said writing was like a lake, but you have to take that lake a teaspoon at a time and put it into your book.
Ooh, I like that.
And then the bomb just said so much lake. There's just so much lake. And this makes me think this is so much lake. Like there's just stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
pieces and gadgets and things, and you just have it all piled up. It's kind of like the sandcastle analogy that Annika gave us. And what it's not showing here is all the little pieces that you have to throw away to pull all of these out, because they come in their little plastic things that hold them tight. So, you have your pieces that you just put to the side because it's not supposed to be in the book, but then you have to fit all of the little pieces of the book together properly for the end to work.
So is this game like flat? So do you put the pieces on a flat piece of paper and then it kind of moves, or is it something that is standing up like a 3D type of?
It's a 3D type. So I have another
Oh,
picture that I'm going to put up so you could see for those of you watching on YouTube.
ooh, okay.
This is the actual board with the whole contraption put together. And if you've done it right, the little guy will jump off his springboard and knock the cage off, which will go down to that cheese and trap any mice that are underneath the little cage.
Okay.
If you haven't set it off right, then it will pause somewhere during the process. So when you're
Okay.
going around the board, your little mouse is trying to land on the build pieces, which are the ones with the numbers. If you land on some of the other pieces, then it makes you go forward some or backwards some spaces. And then you have these little pieces that you get, the little pieces of cheese. For those of you watching, it's there on the right side next to the little mouse pieces.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's an actual a triangle little piece of cheese like you would have the dog in Monopoly.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
And the point of the game is you want to get to the end, to the circle. It's in the top left corner. The centerpiece is a big block of cheese, and then there's squares around it. When you get to that point, your little mouse just goes in a circle, continually goes in a circle. One of those spaces allows you to turn the crank. And if your mouse is on the cheese spot, if somebody turns the crank and traps you, you're out. And the last one left wins.
Is the winner.
They can spend a piece of cheese to roll the dice to try to get your mouse into the cheese square before they turn the crank.
There's so many good things about this game. If you throw the dice, you can either land on a number, which is fine, or you would have to go to a spot where it says move backwards or move forwards. And I think a lot of times that is what happens with our writing, is like you feel like you're on such a good pace and you've like done your first draft and you're busy with your editing and you're moving forward, but then you get to a point where you have writer's block, or you get a pass from an agent, or you don't know how to fix this plot line and you just move backwards, and then you kind of feel, I almost want to say despondent, because you're like, oh my gosh, I was just moving forward and now I'm moving backwards again. And I think it's one of those things about this industry where it is, you just have to persevere. You just have to keep on going. You're either going to jump forward or backwards, or you're going to get caught.
Yeah, and you might think you're losing because your mouse is moving so slow, but then you get to the end and realize that you just won the game because everybody else has been circling that wheel and knocking each other out. And then you come in and land on just the right spot and win. And so sometimes you can race to the end and win. Sometimes you move slowly through the process, but you can still win. It's not one of those games that, like, if you roll great, you're just going to win. Like in the contraption, you think you have all the pieces together, and that little mouse who is that book deal is sitting right in that cheese, and you're like, I just have to turn this crank. You turn the crank and you don't know that your little green man is off by just a hair and he misses the tub and it doesn't fall. You don't catch the book deal, and it's things that you can't really control sometimes. And yet if you keep persevering, you just keep going in that circle, writing a new manuscript, getting out a new query letter, you're gonna catch that agent. You're gonna catch that book deal. You're gonna catch those readers. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, it will happen eventually.
And I think it also goes back to when we had our episode with Jessica Faust, where she said you reach out to agents and this person gives you a pass. And that is why it's so important for you to continue writing, because this novel that you've just written, this novel that you've just sent out to agents might not be the one that they need at this moment and at this time. But the next one that you write might be the one that catches their attention.
Exactly. And it may not be that first idea if you flip the whole concept on the other side. Instead of you're trying to catch the book deal, what if you're just trying to trap the things that aren't helping you?
Ooh.
What if that mouse is a distraction, like that cool little storyline that really doesn't have a purpose? It's just fun for you. You got to trap it and pull it to the side so that one that is the golden nugget gets through to the agents. They have to be able to be critical of your own work that way. Being a writer sometimes feels like a jigsaw puzzle. It feels like trying to fit pieces in that you're not even sure if you've got it in the right spot. You don't have a perfect map because everybody's map is different. Everybody's path to publishing is different. But in the end, if you keep persevering, keep tweaking, making sure things are just right, eventually it's going to hit and you're going to be where you want to be.
Yeah, no, very true. And I think you should see writing as a board game, as the game of life, because it's a journey that you learn from so much. It's literally like life. You have to take the bad with the good. And in the end, the good is always more than the bad. And when you look back at it, the bad isn't always as bad as it seems at that moment. I think, as Sarah said before, each person has a different speed that they do things. It might take you 10 years to do something. It might take you 5 months. If we stopped focusing on the mousetraps that we have set out for ourselves and we focus on that block of cheese, then, you should just focus on yourself and your writing. You should invite feedback from others and insight others might have. But I love this quote: don't take criticism from someone you won't take advice from. If you wouldn't even take advice from the person who gives feedback to you on your writing, then don't take the criticism that they give you.
Sometimes you might be playing the wrong board game. Maybe you have to switch your board game. If it's not working, find a different process that does work for you. Bring somebody new in. Find a new writer group. Find a new beta reader. You have to kind of build your own game and figure out which one you play well and then play it.
Exactly. Well, this has been super fun, so I feel like I'm going to go play a board game now.
We'd like to keep things short here on Tea and Tales. Get your fingers back on the keyboard and your pens back on paper.
And if you love what we're doing here and you also want to create a little board game for yourself, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Threads at Tea and Tales Podcast, and on TikTok and Twitter/X at Podcast Tea's Tales. And go on whatever device or whatever platform you are listening to us and go give us 5 stars and go comment and tell us what is your favorite board game and how that relates to your writing.
Happy writing.
Bye!